All right, it is February 22nd. It's a Monday, 2021. It's currently 11:31 a.m. I want to backtrack. I've been seen on the cameras inside of third-party facilitating venue, Ontario OVITT Family Community Library. This is documentation speaking to what is criminal conduct by the people of the state of California, specifically acting via group stalkers of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, engaging in criminal concerted conduct, criminal threats, criminal harassment, and they do this while they're monitoring, aware of the documentation of their criminal monitoring conduct, and engaging in threats as they continue that conduct and that which I document. So as I am referencing, I'm literally on cameras entering the venue with Aubrey. Her name is spelled Aubrey. She appears to be a Caucasian female. Today she has on orange pants, black shoes, and she has on a red colored sweater over a flower top. She has her hair back, I think it's half up and half down in a ponytail. She's wearing a red colored face mask. She's holding an iPad, a communication device, by the way. Where the state's fake sun is aimed, it's located right here, as I've already shown, and it remains here all day because I am here. This is all hallmarks present. The state engages in ongoing stalking conduct. As I am on cameras, at that entrance door, you're looking at what is federal group stalking and monitoring. And as I am on that camera at the entrance door with the state's light source aimed onto me, onto that building, it's monitoring. The state is flying around on the very top of this building, not only as I am walking from my position, so this is the state that's literally monitoring as I'm walking from the side of the library up to the entrance, the state anticipating where I'm going, and the state is engaging in amplified audible activity via helicopter. So this is literally a helicopter patrolling above the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library. Understand their criminal conduct is in direct contrast to how they promote, how they present themselves. All right. This is the same with any other company. This is the same with every third party. This is the same with the state wearing police uniforms and fire and ambulance. Understand this is the reality of what they are engaged in. This is how you know them. You know them by their deeds. What you're looking at on camera is as I'm entering the OVITT Family Library, I hold my index finger up in the sky with my right hand, up in the air, and I'm moving it in a circle. That is my universal language, which I use surveillance cameras as a means of documentation. And I'm being I'm being monitored as you are looking at me. A helicopter is patrolling over the library. The state's light source is there. That's audible activity, that's light activity, and she is in relevant position. She is acting in concert with the entirety of the group. The state is present and third parties are monitoring inside of that venue and all around in relevant position. And you're looking at her holding an iPad, engaging in what is creating an appointment for me to come in and use their desktop while they are monitoring the entire time. Understand everything about that. What you're looking at is the communication of a threat by the people of the state of California. Ontario OVITT Family Community Library represents the people of the state of California. They're sex offenders. While I'm inside of that bathroom, listening to what I am doing, maintaining presence in the path as they stand at the circulation desk, as they enter and exit, the room that is in that little area where they stand post making appointments, they stand at a little post there with their iPads, walking back and forth. Understand they're engaging in relevant positioning, and they're doing it on camera. They're doing it while the state is flying over the building, and they're doing it while the state is aiming light into the building and onto the building. Into the building is called impossible light activity. Onto the building is called that remaining placed light. That is the state's fake sun that is over this venue, and while the state is patrolling substantially loud with a helicopter, that is a direct communication of a threat. Right? And while the people of the state of California, specifically working at Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, are standing in my face, making appointments, and speaking with, and as I exit at 11:29 a.m., the same exact conduct. This is a communication of a threat. And I, again, stop at that entrance door where Aubrey is posted. Understand she is intentionally engaging in that conduct. You're not looking at an average appointment making at the entrance of the door while the helicopter is there, while the state's light source is directly over the building. You are looking at what is using their trade, using their position, using their business, which is a library, for means of criminal monitoring and engaging in criminal threatening of an American citizen, which they are engaging in at this venue. Understand, when you are prosecuting federally, where the public entity is monitoring, Ontario OVITT Family Community Library represents the people of the state of California. That name in and of itself is not only subject to exposure and prosecution under that identification, it is also the individual workers who are on camera engaging in monitoring. And understand that is an intentional communication of a threat while they are aware that I'm documenting them on their own cameras inside, and helicopter greeting me as I'm entering and she's taking an appointment, helicopter as I'm exiting and she's taking someone else's appointment. Understand, she's not acting as an individual. Those third party that are scattered about in front of the door, there's 3 Latina women, they're just standing there. Understand, they're in position. The state is flying over literally in circles repeatedly as I'm walking out of the library. This is all intentional conduct. This is how the people of the state of California engage in criminal monitoring, and it is that of psychopaths. And I did engage in using that camera at that entrance door. Again, putting my index finger in the air, moving it around. That is reference to the helicopter. This is no normal conduct of, everyday business whatsoever. And that is documentation of how the psychopath and the sex offender, the exceedingly hostile criminal who is monitoring, engages in threatening, okay? That is what that is, and that's what Ontario OVITT Family Community Library shall be prosecuted for. Understand, Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, the name, okay, is subject to that. It's not going under the umbrella of the people of the state. You're specifically identifying each stalker, and the stalker is identified by a company, by a logo, by a business name, wherever they're engaging in that criminal system, and they're engaging in facilitating the ability of a public entity to monitor you through that business. So Ontario OVITT Family Community Library engaged in that, and they are threatening me specifically. That is reasonably construed as such. It is the absence of coincidence. It is the ongoing P.O.C., and it is upon exiting of that venue, where, by the way, I was subject to monitoring the entire time. Literally, the psychopaths are engaging in relevant positioning inside of that venue, stalking with activity inside of that venue with simultaneity to what I'm doing physically and what I'm doing electronically on the desktop and on my phones. So it is P.O.C., but I'm just speaking to, this is how you are breaking down what is an ongoing threat. This is the true identity of what the people of the state of California are engaged in. They are the personification of that entity that is operating this criminal monitoring system. And as I am walking out of that venue, subject to the helicopter, understand this is no different than the people of the state of California hiding in dark alleys, molesting with headlights while the helicopter is flying directly in front of you. This is ominous, criminal, psychopath level conduct, while, mind you, they are monitoring your documentation. That's the true identity of Ontario OVITT Family Community Library. Understand? And this is factual. This is based on documentation. This is my providing what is a literal breakdown in the legal analysis of all the criminal activity that they continuously engage in. And the state's presence via helicopter, plane, police, fire, and ambulance is already established. The state's stalking with a light source is already established. You're looking at how these psychopaths are systematically monitoring American citizens, doing so through their business, doing so through whatever activity they want to outwardly appear to engage in. They are monitoring. Whatever they're engaging in, they're doing it while they're monitoring, and they are also subjecting whatever business, whatever activity they're supposed to be using as a means of the guise under which why they are present, the guise under which they are creating any activity, the guise under which they are creating any light activity, that shall be subject to prosecution as well. This is how you prosecute a public entity. This is how you break down that system, and it is necessary because this is how the public entity is operating. Public entity, again, is not an individual. A public entity is acting through the psychopaths that are acting individually as a collective group. The public entity is acting through the companies and the businesses and the institutions that are acting as a group to systematically monitor American citizens. And that is how you break down what they literally just engaged in at 11:29 a.m. Patrolling over, understand, Ontario OVITT Family Community Library directly engaged in communicating that threat to my very life, my physical safety, my overall well-being, while they are molesting together. Understand, the state's light source molesting my person while they're monitoring. They are sex offenders who are engaged in an unprecedented level of criminal threat while they are monitoring you, representing the government. That's what Ontario OVITT Family Community Library represents. Ontario OVITT Family Community Library represents the people of the state of California who are engaged in an identical behavioral pattern, which is entirely demonic. This is denoting what is malicious and demented conduct of a group. All right, that's the true identity, that's the true reality of what this library is engaged in, as opposed to its title, some family, community. No, they're monitoring American citizens. I happen to be one that's letting you know the reality and what shall be the reality under federal law. It's 11:40 a.m. and that is P.O.C. I also want to speak to you know what? I'll go ahead and keep it together. As I am at SCHIRO'S Liquor, understand documentation is already complete. You already know the state is stalking with light. The state is engaged in ongoing stalking via aircraft. including helicopters, including all manner of planes, commercial and otherwise, government planes as well. And the state is stalking by police, fire, and ambulance, as the state is stalking with light. Okay, and so this is speaking to the sexual violence that the public entity, the state of California, and the people of the state of California understand they are sex offenders engaging in what is unlawful touch, as the state is molesting with light, literally remaining over my head with its light source, which is supposed to be the sun, remaining directly over my head as I'm walking from the museum to B&G Plaza, where I complete my purchase at 8:32 a.m. Understand, as I am walking on that street, the people of the state of California are patrolling repeatedly in their vehicles, and the state is repeatedly molesting my person. That is going to the ongoing sexual violence that the state is ceaselessly engaged in day and night. Okay, manifesting light as third parties surround during the day, manifesting light as third parties surround at night. All right, that's the impossible light activity. That is not occurring from headlights at nighttime, and it's not occurring from the sun during the day. This is the state and third parties acting together. While third parties, the people of the state, intentionally are present, while what appears to be a circus of lights is all around on the walls, on my person, and on the surfaces all over the ground, while they are crossing path, meaning driving past me in their cars, and using large trucks in order to engage in more fully molestation of my entirety of a person. Understand, that's a communication of a threat. That's what the people of the state of California are intentionally engaged in. They are sex offenders. They are predators, intentionally driving past to act in concert with the state that is molesting my entirety of my person with this light, which is never occurring, even if that was the sun, which I've already established, it's not. The state is stalking with light, even if it was the sun. And this is how you are deducing what is intent. This is how you are deducing what is predatorial, sexually violent conduct, intending to touch while you're stalking, and you are the government that is stalking. All right, that is entirely predatorial. Okay, that is entirely threatening and demented conduct, and that is inherent to what is monitoring. And so this is going to what is the ongoing sexual violence. This is documentation of what I'm subject to as I'm walking at any place during the day and night, but that's what the people of the state of California engaged in this morning. I complete my purchase at SCHIRO'S Liquor at 8:32 a.m. I'm on the surveillance cameras at that venue. At B&G Plaza, it's armed with cameras, and the traffic cameras at HOLT and Plum, understand that is where I'm located, and that is where sexual violence and monitoring is concentrated, because I'm walking down the street, and this is where the state's light source is currently right now on the side of Ontario OVITT Family Library, while they are engaged in that which I have already spoken to, the helicopter flying around in circles, and they are engaging in monitoring with it. Being silent, talking about, oh yeah, you want to make your point, like it's everyday normal conduct, while a helicopter is circling above your head, while the state is stalking with a light source. Everything about the environment is incriminating what psychopaths are engaged in. The mask has already been removed. There is no guise under which you're monitoring, in which it is not clearly seen, because you are focused on the elements, which I have pointed out, laid out for all to understand. And this is how the psychopath engages in symbolic threatening, all right, engages in threatening conduct while they are engaged in what is monitoring, all right? That is reasonably construed as a threat, and that shall be legislated as such, and they will be prosecuted as the sex offender, the criminal harasser, the stalker, the monitor that they are, all right? It's 11:44 a.m., and that's P.O.C. It is 11:48 a.m. I'm going to go back about maybe 90 seconds. I want to be clear. Make sure that you view the video that I just captured. This is not in any way necessary for the completed status of my documentation, because it is complete, and prosecution is sure. This is speaking to that which I just documented regarding the people of the state of California acting via Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, and that was the same helicopter engaging in that which I spoke of, and that is why I captured it on video. Even though I've already captured it before, I don't need to. That the state is engaged in that is established as the pattern, and it is unreasonable, especially in a court of law, to assume that it just stopped randomly. It did not stop, and I've already established my word is credible when I say over my head, when I say flying around, when I say stalking. Not only do I have a basic understanding, but I have a legal understanding of it, and it is as I speak it. Okay, and so that is why I captured more video of what is the state stalking with its light source, which is not the sun. And while the state is engaging in ongoing stalking by a helicopter, just as it was as Miss Opry was standing at the door threatening me with the government, okay, on behalf of the government. And that's the government that's standing outside of the door, who she's making appointments with. That's the government inside of Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, stalking with activity inside while they're managing books and magazines. And walking all around in relevant position with real-time knowledge of what I'm doing on my communication devices. All right, that's a threat. And those are just images to complement what I just published with regard to the criminal conduct of Ontario OVITT Family Community Library representing the people of the state of California. It's 11:50 a.m. and that is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 2:18. This is just reference on my podcast as to what I have captured on video, the same pattern of conduct that I have already established, which is federal group stalking and monitoring, as the state is stalking with light. And this is just yet another testament as to what the people of the state of California are engaged in. Specifically in that video, engaging in group stalking and monitoring conduct is the people of the state of California acting via the city of Ontario, using their vehicles, maintaining stalking presence in the path under what is the state's light source planted on the side of the library, over the senior center, over 280 North Limit Apartments. And the contrast that I was drawing is the fact that the state's light source was in the exact same location directly above me as I stood in an entirely different city and county, that is in Los Angeles County, that's this, Azusa, where the state's light source was directly over me as I stood at that third-party facilitating venue, which was McDonald's, and the police were in alignment to me, that's group stalking, and the drive-through about 40 feet away, that's intentional presence, in the same way that City of Ontario using their vehicles as a means of audible activity and maintaining presence in the path, that is group stalking, acting with the state that has engaged in ongoing patrolling via helicopter over the same area where its light source is concentrated. This is ongoing systematic monitoring, and it's that which I captured specifically as I am going inside of Ontario OVITT Family Library, but again, they are monitoring while I am outside of the building. They're monitoring while I'm inside of the building. This is speaking to the ongoing stalking conduct with a light source. That is what the people of the state of California are engaged in with the public entity. That is literally dragging around a light source, which is supposed to be the sun, in grand contradiction to that which is taught to all of us in the fifth grade, in the fourth, fifth, sixth grade about the sun. It is remaining at this address, and this is already established. This is, again, pointing out the obvious, because this is my task, showing how being directly over me, where I am standing in a different city, in a different county, is mutually exclusive to that which I have already established in my documentation, that it remains wherever I am at, including on the side of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library in the city of Ontario in San Bernardino County. That is not the same. That is not what you are going to see standing at both locations. What you have is a state's light source over me in the city of Ontario by the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, which is distinct from being and remaining all day long over 435 South Bonneview. That is also mutually exclusive. That is not resulting in the zenith of this light source, not only placement directly where I am, but that prolonged remaining. This is the stalking with light. That is also in contradiction of common sense and basic understanding of the actual sun and that which we are taught, at least in elementary school. This is that which I documented on video, and this is just referencing that. It is very, very enlightening and informative as you are looking at the visuals, which I tend to complement my podcast with my images and videos. And what you are seeing 24 hours earlier, I captured that video at around 2:13 p.m. The video that I captured in the city of Azusa, which is Los Angeles County, as I am at Alasta, I believe, at 980 at the third-party facilitating venue of McDonald's, where I'm being monitored there. And the state's light source is directly over me at Powell Avenue and Alasta. Okay, that's a different city, that's a different county. That is very far from 280 North Limit Apartments or 215 East C Street at the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, and standing at that corner in Los Angeles County and standing on this corner, standing on the side of, remaining on the side of this library, this in between the senior center, is not resulting in what is supposed to be. This is what the state is engaging in for purposes of stalking with light, the sun directly over. That is speaking to the ubiquitous presence of the the zenith physical placement of the sun over what is everyone, if I'm not a targeted individual, everyone at the same time all over the place? I don't think so. That is not what is ongoing, and that is not what the evidence shows. The evidence shows this is mutually exclusive conduct with regard to the state's placement of its light source, and this is stalking. This is stalking with a light source. This is serving what is a state system. This is operated by the state, the public entity, the state of California, that is monitoring via communication devices and doing so via the people of the state. This is yet another example of the people of the state acting what is through the city of Ontario, using their vehicles as a means of federal group stalking and monitoring, using their access to the buildings around me in relevant position, stalking with light, engaging in the identical behavioral pattern, acting with the state that is patrolling over me in planes and helicopters under its light source. That is the people of the state of California, and that business, that company that representing the people of the state of California, that is the city of Ontario. Not the only aspect of documentation pursuant to what the city of Ontario specifically engages in. This is that which I am reiterating as to the entity acting vicariously via the people of the state of California. And understand the city of Ontario represents that entity acting vicariously on behalf of that state. Not only those individuals, but that company itself. Understand that identification of the city of Ontario to be prosecuted, to be exposed, to be identified as that which is engaged in monitoring American citizens. That is the prosecution of the entirety of the entity. That is the significance of documentation. That is the significance of the ongoing conduct and activity that they are corporately and cooperatively engaged in while they are monitoring. They meaning the state proper, and the state acting vicariously through the people. It's 2:24 p.m. and that is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 4:18 p.m. I am just speaking to the relevance of that which I have additionally added to the timestamped images and video, and that's just of the video that I captured at what was I believe 4:04 p.m. to be precise, and the significance of it was an ongoing communication of a threat, and that threat is communicated by conduct. And that is conduct engaged in by an entity that is the government that is acting through the people of the state. So this is an incredibly threatening actor that is targeting, that is acting with everyone around you and using your environment to threaten you. Understand this is intentional conduct when you are monitoring. And then you are also monitoring that which the target individual, myself, is documenting and creating federal legislation to prosecute you, which you are aware of because you're monitoring on that device. And so what I captured in video was not only the ongoing presence of the state's fake sun at 4:04 p.m. sitting over the edge of 280 North Lemon Apartments, the same location where I have captured it over those same apartments as early as 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? And then just feet behind that as early as 8 something in the morning at the senior center. And this is just the ongoing comparison of what is impossible to be naturally occurring. This is stalking with light conduct, and this is pure asininity as well. In doing so, it is literally at the position that I've captured it in the morning, while, mind you, the same conduct of stalking via helicopter planes is ongoing as well. This is the established pattern of conduct, but that's captured in the video as well. It's remaining over 280 North Lemon Apartments, and at the same time, it is in the same position in its zenith directly over my head while I am in an entirely different city and county. Aside from that, what I captured in video, what I was focused on, is the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library turning on the lights underneath the covered area where I am sitting, where I remain, where the state's fake sun remains, where third-party group stalkers via traffic and on foot, and in the surrounding apartments of 280 North Lemon Apartments. All of them engaging in what is monitoring in this immediate area, maintaining activity all around me, acting with the state, that is the people of the state of California. Ontario OVITT Family Community Library monitoring with the state, turning on the lights in the middle of the afternoon, mind you, where the sun remains present, and as I am in the midst of what is the creation of federal legislation to be enforced against this entity, and it's monitoring it. They turn on these lights that are outside in the middle of the day. Understand these lights never come on in the middle of the day. I have never documented it because it has not happened, and it reasonably does not happen because you don't need to use the lights during the day. They come on and off. They use these same lights for a means of stalking with light, monitoring conduct at nightfall. But that's how the people of the state of California engage in that at nightfall. They use in the same manner. This is specific to what is reasonably construed as a communication of a threat while you are monitoring. So as I'm speaking to what is molestation of your person by the public entity, that is stalking via light, molestation of the entity acting via the people of the state of California who not only are maintaining group presence in and around the path of the targeted individual, keeping targeted light present as well as they are stalking, aiming light onto you. And that is in concert with the entity that's also aiming light onto you. And so this is a means of sexual violence. This is group sexual assault and battery. And this is concentrating on this use of light, directed light and artificial light. As I am creating this literally on the Word Microsoft application on my T-Mobile phone, sitting on the side of the library, 215 East C Street, okay? They're sex offenders, they're criminals. They engage in monitoring American citizens. They engage in sexually offending and violating them, listening to them, monitoring them in that private space, aware that your genitalia is exposed, listening to you undress, listening to you use the toilet, creating activity, even coming inside and acting with other third parties so that people inside and outside and the government flying over and sitting around in their police cars and fire trucks and ambulances can all monitor you. That's what this family community library is engaged in, okay? And that is P.O.C, and that is documented conduct. That's what they're engaged in, and they are threatening. Understand, this is how you interpret that conduct, and it is reasonably construed as such. Turning on the building lights directly above in the middle of the day, as I am, which is not a coincidence, creating what is to be enforced federal legislation against this entity. That's not a coincidence. Understand the methods of the entity, how I have described it as symbolic threatening. The conduct, every word that is uttered, it is not idle activity. Not only is it a means of audible activity, prosecution period, you're also going to analyze the substance of that audible activity, which is intentionally uttered in the target individual's presence. Under a fake sun, while the state is stalking by police, fire, and there's no coincidence there. That's P.O.C. And you shall be prosecuted as such, all right? In the same way, using the environment to impliedly communicate that same threat while you're monitoring, aware of what I'm doing on my communication device and turning on the lights directly above me in order to communicate that ongoing threat, that ongoing determination to monitor, all right, and to communicate that. That's what Ontario OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in. All right, that's what City of Ontario is engaged in. Whoever is actually turning on the switch to turn those lights on, understand they're all monitoring. And this is the absence of coincidence. And that is P.O.C. And that's what I captured in video, and I'm just providing more legal analysis as to that. The actor, the speaker, the entity itself is acting directly and vicariously. So you are present, meaning the people of the state of California are present, not in their individual right at all. That is the government. Every single last one of them who may be on a shift at their job, the government is present through them, and they are intentionally so. They are group stalking, engaging in the behavioral pattern, monitoring with that entity that is capitalizing on their presence, wherever that may be, and that is focused on where the target individual is at. You are group stalking, you are monitoring, and you're engaged in what is criminally threatening and harassing while you're aware of the content that is going to be used against you in a federal court of law. It's 4:24 p.m. I just want to go ahead and note that, and that's P.O.C.